Hi guys, welcome back to the Road to 2000. I'm going to recap the last 3 games that I've played. I'm sorry I didn't record at the time. I just had a bit of a grind away from camera, but we're going through it now. The first game, so I'm going to show you 3 games today. First game I got like this Caro-Kann structure in which he pushed in the center. I developed, now there's always this thing of they can push your bishop, but here you can go like that and just kick the rook and trade the bishop off and put all your pawns on light squares to replace the bishop. So I think that was my plan. And going for the classic pawn break in the Caro, chipping at the center. Now in the Caro, when they play bishop out, you just snap it off. You could consider this, and maybe take towards the center, open up the rook. Maybe that'd be an idea, but I just know this is theory, so that's what I've played. And I think here I made a bit of a mistake. You should just take, because that is the whole point of the Sicilian and the Caro, to take towards the center. So that was the best move. Surprise, surprise. But I just kept on developing and played queen out here, targeting some weak pawns. A very thematic move in the Caro, and then I took in the center there. So these pawns are doubled, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to hang on to this pawn here, really, but I try. So knight defends pawn. And then I jump the knight in. I'm thinking, at least I've undoubled the pawns. Maybe I can play this. But my opponent plays a very good move there. Plays d4 himself to stop me ever playing it. Disconnecting my queen from the defense of the pawn, which is now fully overextended. So they win that pawn. So we're now even on material. This is against the 1750, by the way, 1900 at this point. So, you know, the pressure's on me to win this game, really. So, but I'm first to the open file, going into this like middle end game. And I'm black, so I've clearly done something right to be slightly ahead in development. But he contends the open file. I hit the rook, forcing him to take. And again, I have the open line now, so I'm slightly better. But he's got this counterplay with his open rook and the queen looking at these weak pawns. So he tries to open things up there. And at this point, honestly, probably not the best move, but I play queen here because the queen doesn't have much scope on this diagonal. Maybe I could go queen to one of these squares, but the rook's singing nicely. The bishop's got some effect, but I feel like the queen isn't working as hard as it should, so I maybe relocate the queen onto a better diagonal. And like Kasparov says, if you create threats, you know, I think he said if you create 10 threats in a row, you'll win the game. Well, here, guys, even at the 1800 level, I create 1 threat and win the game. Easy as that. But it's not always that easy, guys, as we will see. So this one got a bit more tricky. It was a Scandinavian. I kick the queen, develop, and we've got a little pin going on here. So I just kick the bishop, ask him the question. He takes. I'm very, very happy. I've got 2 pieces developed to his nothingness, and he just blocks off the diagonal for the queen. So I just come out, trying to steamroll, trying to snowball my developmental advantage and create some initiative. He blocks with the knight, and I just try get my final minor piece out. So here, pawn push, which makes this pin seem natural. He defends, I attack, trying to add pressure to the pinned piece, but at the end of the day, it's just very well defended. He defends it again, and I take everything off. I don't know if that's the best, really. I'm just very even now in the end game. Maybe I could have pushed for some advantage around like this point here. Maybe castled and just kept pieces on the board as white, trying to maintain some sort of lead in development might have been better. But yeah, I take everything off. I tend to do all right in endgames, so I've maybe got a bit of a propensity to trade off when I shouldn't. This bishop's getting trapped, right? So you need to do something here. I thought the a-pawn push takes. I've got some nice pressure with the bishop there on this pawn. So he lodges in, and I immediately start targeting this backwards pawn, which actually, I don't know if black can really defend that. Oh, he can. He blocks. Can I play this to to remove the knight and then target this pawn. If this takes en passant, nah, don't think it's working. So I lift the king, start improving, and I'm gradually playing for this move here. But in between, creating some alignment issues with the king, and he steps out of those issues. So now I get my game plan, which I think is removing this knight to win this pawn. So I move the bishop back rather than taking straight away. Oh, because, yeah, of course, this pawn's under threat. So defending this weak backwards pawn here, giving away the pawn on g2. But this knight now, I hope you realise, it looks a little bit funny, doesn't it? So maybe a move like that. But he would escape. So I try this, which actually wasn't the best move, but trying to take away all the escape squares for the knight. So he has this move lashing out, and I don't think my rook can actually continue to monitor this. I can't go anywhere. Can't go here. Can't go anywhere. So I take the pawn, allowing the knight to escape, sadly. Check. And then here, if this, it's just a trade. But I find a little in-between move here, guys. Deflecting the king away, allowing me to continue gobbling pawns. Also, a very minor thing, but I've taken his king away from the center. It was 2 moves from the center, 4 squares. And now it's 3 moves away. So that's useful in the end game. So take, and then I'm gobbling this pawn. But instead of gobbling, I solve my backwards pawn on this d file, open up the bishop, and create another target on f5. And I guess that's because I probably did that because if he plays this defending the pawn, then he's very passive, and I should have some fun on the king, maybe. So he activates his rook. Am I worried about this? See, if I start gobbling this here, and I don't know what he really does. He takes this pawn. I think I can probably get away with the check, getting my king checked. But yeah, I come check his king. I think his king is in a bit of a pickle right now. That's the only square. And now king's on a light square. We've got to start thinking about this bishop. The king has no squares, so bishop here would be mate, but knight takes. So maybe there's some ideas here. So with that in mind, I try and get to this square instead. Check here. And how do you solve all these issues? Bishops come into this square, and there's no way to actually cover this square. You can't push a pawn to create a hole for the king to run into. Yeah, I don't know what. I don't think there's a way to save it. This, and this. You've got to give up the rook. Okay. But my opponent luckily resigned, so I didn't have to go into that end game. And we will get on to the final game, guys, which got even trickier. Another Caro-Kann. Same ideas, chipping at the center, block with the knight. And similar game plan, really. Bringing the queen out like this. And here I never know which one to take with. The engine tends to say queen takes, but I like the idea of pawn takes, honestly. Maintaining pressure with the queen. And then we can always take and then do this pawn break again with the other pawn. But yeah, I listen to the engine in this case and take with the queen. Take. And I don't think I should have taken here because it just gives white this fork. And I don't know what I was doing. I think I just calculated this. But yeah, knight takes is actually pretty strong. White's better here. Yeah, because it's not so much that I'm losing the bishop, it's my structure. And the fact that he's now opened up the e-file towards my own castled king. So queen takes pawn now. I develop hitting the queen. They slide back. Now, I think I should have just taken here. Yeah, he gets an open file for the rook, but the move I play was just way too slow. Just like shuffling the queen like I'm scared of trades. It's just pathetic. It's not it's not quick enough. It's just yeah. So he develops. I kick the bishop. He goes back. Now I can trap his bishop here, but you can see with this lined up and the queen pretty active, he's got a bit of counterplay with e6, trying to just shred my king open, which he goes for. And I don't know what to do here, guys. This is horrible. This position. Even having analysed it, I don't have a clue. See, I saw if castle push. I think I can just about take. But this is a horrible position. I mean, if I take, he gets check. He gets double check, and the king starts running. So I think I should have castled here, but I take the pawn, which was a huge blunder. Obviously, rook takes. It's just check. So I block. He takes. I take. The bishop is still trapped here. I castle. He takes. If I take with the, I could take with the rook, but then I hang my rook. I could take with the knight. And by the way, I've climbed up here to like 1910. So this is for an all-time high, by the way, guys. I've probably not built it up enough, but yeah, this was huge at the time for an all-time high. About a month ago now, like January 2023, this game was played. So because I can't take with this because I hang the bishop, and I can't take with this because I hang the rook, I play this move, getting the loose piece out of danger, and maybe targeting this square. See, I'm dead lost here. I'm -6, so I've got to come up with some ideas of, I don't know, going all out attack. I don't have much of an option but just to take and then play rook over, at least winning a pawn, and again, trying to target the only weakness I can see. So I'm doubling up against the king now, so still I'm down a rook, but I've got a little bit of counterplay. If check, I just block. So here the queen defends this, and obviously if I take, he's just going to sack the queen for 2 rooks, and he's going to be up a piece and win. So I can't actually trade these rooks off. So I keep the rooks on the board, and I'm just hoping for a mistake here. So I just give the king a little cubbyhole square to run to. He kicks my rook, but in doing so, this is his blunder. He blocks the diagonal for the queen. Yeah, and I come in with check. These games happened one after the other, by the way, guys, and not on the same day. But I'm not like selecting random games. These are sequential. So here, I mean, I'm trying to come up with tricks to try maybe this and then win the rook. Although that would just be mate as well. Yeah. So king up. He's maybe looking at this square. He's trying to mate me on this square, but I can't play this because of queen takes. But I can play check, guys. There it is. Did you spot the alignment issue? Yeah. This, trying to win the knight, but he's actually double attacking my rooks here, which is pretty uncomfortable. I can't go check because queen takes. So I decide to bring another piece. Hitting the queen, and I'm threatening mate. So queen has to stay on this diagonal, which they do. But this being mate, they have to actually sack the queen. The only move is to get rid of the queen. So I'm losing a rook and a knight for a queen there, but my rook's pretty active. So after king takes, after king takes, I take the knight. And now we're even, but my rook's better. King over, I lift my king. Their goal is to push this pawn. I keep improving my king. I mess up here because he can cut my king off. He's got my king in opposition and he puts me backwards. My king now on the edge of the board. It's not looking good. He pushes. But now I lodge this pawn, so he's got to stay defending it, and his rook's a little bit clumsy there. So after a few more moves, I start threatening this pawn push. He gives a check. Now, if I take, he has this connected pass pawn and he wins. So I can't go down that line. So I take, he takes. And then I get this with check. Another check. And if I can just get my king round, I might be able to promote this. But that's very risky because he's going to promote this. So I think I take the safe option and bring my king round and go after his pawn. And just win it. And then I know the worst thing that can happen is I draw here. So I gobble the pawn. But then I'm defending it, and now I've got all the winning chances. Somehow, from being down a queen, I've managed to turn this around. And my opponent should have bailed out here and taken the pawn. Should he? If this, I push. So no, I win there. So he doesn't know what to do. I don't know what... How does white survive this? This and come round behind the pawn, I guess. It's his engine line now. Yeah, just give a load of checks and then come round, I guess. Yeah. But as happened in the game, I somehow managed to get my king up. And then I'm just threatening this. If I can get some more coverage of this square. So I'm giving him this because it gives me that. And now he's got no checks and he's going to have to sack the rook. Queen blocks. And there we go, guys. And yeah, just a standard king and rook endgame for you there. With 9 seconds on the clock, by the way. So that was a bit of an achievement, actually, with the rook. But yeah, I've had a few comments asking me to cover more Road to 2000 games. So here you are, guys. I'm going to go try and play another one right now. See if I can get past this 1920 up towards 2000. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.